Live from Athens, the News Channel 4 Olympic team.
Coincidence or crime? One Russian airliner crashes. Another Russian passenger plane similar to this one disappears from radar.
Sheikh Omar, my very most favorite person.
Did a defense lawyer pass on secret information to an imprisoned terrorist?
A microchip that fits on your fingertip promises giant changes in the way you shop.
You're watching NBC for New York. And now, Chuck Scarborough, Sue Simmons, Janice Huff, and Len Berman. This is News Channel 4 Olympic Edition.
Good evening. Tonight, there is a mystery in Moscow.
One Russian airliner crashed and a second one vanished from the radar at about the same time. Both took off from the same Moscow airport. Tonight, nearly 100 people may be dead. Linda Piccaro's live with the latest, including reaction from the Russian community in Brighton Beach. Linda?
Well, Sue, it has just been confirmed that that plane that crashed, no one survived that particular plane crash. And also the latest is that just minutes ago, a news agency quoted an unnamed Russian official who says a hijacking signal had been activated on the missing plane, the second plane. Now, as authorities try to figure out what happened and why, Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered the nation's top intelligence agency to investigate. He has also ordered security tightened at all of that country's airports. Brighton Beach Avenue looked as it would any summer evening, even as some learned about two airplane incidents within minutes of each other in Russia. Both planes left the same Moscow airport. One, with 42 people aboard, crashed 125 miles south in the Tula region. And just 3 minutes later, the other airplane, with 44 people on board, disappeared from radar near Rostov-on-Don on its way to the Black Sea resort of Sochi, where President Putin is vacationing. Those with family in Russia wonder what went wrong.
I don't know. It's and this time could be anything happen.
You've flown out of Moscow airport. How is the security there?
Security very strong.
I was a part of 9/11. I used to work in World Trade Center. That's why the first thing I always think about terrorism.
The plane that's missing near Rostov-on-Don is a Tu-154 like this, belonging to the Russian airliner Sibir. Here in Brighton Beach, speculation about the timing of the incidents with presidential elections in Chechnya this Sunday. The first thing that comes to your mind, terrorism?
Yeah, only this.
And again, authorities are still not saying what may have happened to these two planes, but they are not ruling out terrorism. Reporting live in Brighton Beach, Linda Picaro, News Channel 4.
Linda, thank you. She made a career defending terrorists, and now she's on trial for allegedly aiding them. And prosecutors today played secret FBI videotapes of defense lawyer Lynn Stewart meeting with a terror leader in prison. Here's Jonathan Dietz now with more for us. Jonathan.
Chuck, Sue, prosecutors say these secret tapes are key to their case. They say the tapes show Lynn Stewart illegally passed messages to and from a convicted terrorist who, while in prison, was supposed to be cut off from his supporters and followers. Attorney Lynn Stewart told the government she was visiting terror leader Sheikh Rahman to plot legal strategy.
Sheikh Omar, my very most favorite person.
Prosecutors say the sheikh, who was convicted of plotting to blow up New York City landmarks and who had been banned from communicating with the outside world because he remains a terror threat, was being briefed. Investigators say his lawyer and translator were letting the sheikh know what terrorists were doing overseas to try to secure his freedom and that of terrorist Ramzi Youssef.
I'm telling the Sheikh about the Abu Sayyaf group in the Philippines that they took hostages. In the New York Times, it never said that they wanted to free the Sheikh.
Ramzi Youssef.
But their demand is to free the Sheikh and Ramzi Youssef.
Good for them. I didn't read that either.
Outside court this week, Stewart says the tapes are no big deal.
There's not a word of terrorism, not a word of violence. Kill, violence, they're never part of any of these conversations.
Stewart didn't know that in this Minnesota prison, the FBI had wired the room. As the sheikh snacked on chocolate, guards weren't the only ones, as she thought, looking in.
Then look at me and talk a little bit.
I will talk. I'm making notes. Yes.
Were they trying to hide something? Investigators say it was an act to allow Stewart's translator to read messages, including one from this man, Rafi Ahmed Taha, a bin Laden associate. Other letters were passed on as well, including, the government says, a message from Stewart's co-defendant, Ahmed Sattar. Investigators say the letter posed this question: did the sheikh want terror attacks to resume in Egypt? after the tourist slaughter of 1997. Prosecutors say after the prison meeting, Stewart announced to the media that the sheikh approved of more violence in Egypt. Stewart only admits discussing non-terror-related information with the sheikh.
We had been reading him newspapers forever. Now the government suddenly, in this case, says we weren't supposed to be reading him newspapers.
Then why, prosecutors ask, do Stewart and the translator appear intent on fooling guards? Stewart says she will take the stand in her trial to explain to jurors why reading letters in newspapers may have been technical violations, but she insists they were not criminal acts. Chuck, Sue?
Jonathan, thank you.
Well, just hours from now, a judge is expected to decide whether 250,000 protesters may gather in Central Park on the eve of the Republican convention. John Noel's live at Madison Square Garden right now with the story for us. John?
Chuck, United for Peace and Justice wants to hold that massive rally in Central Park. The city is saying, how about the West Side Highway? Tomorrow, a judge will decide.
The Republicans are coming!
Taking liberties with the line attributed to Paul Revere, protesters on bicycles proclaiming the Republicans are coming. Earlier today, a coalition of protest groups was in state Supreme Court asking a judge to order the city to allow a rally of 250,000 people in Central Park on Sunday.
The park simply cannot accommodate an event of this size.
Central Park has been taken over by a private entity called the Central Park Conservancy, with the connivance of the Parks Department and of City Hall.
Whatever the judge's decision, the NYPD says it is prepared to handle the security challenge posed by protesters and the threat of terrorism, issues the police commissioner addressed earlier in the day in an interview with our Andrew Siff on the roof of One Police Plaza.
We have a very comprehensive plan for the city, for our transit system. That's all factored in. It costs us a lot of money. We've gotten money.
But according to the city's comptroller's office, not enough money to prevent the city from taking a bath on the convention.
We determined that probably would be in the realm of $70 million a day.
While the mayor says New York will pull in $265 million from the convention, the comptroller's office says it will cost the city $309 million in commuter delays, business slowdowns, and security, resulting in a net loss of $44 million.
I thought the analysis was just fallacious. This is something that will be good for this city. It will generate a lot of revenue in a week when economic activity in this city is traditionally at a very low level.
Now, if the judge decides against the group that wants to rally in Central Park, organizers say they will march past Madison Square Garden. However, they will not rally on the West Side Highway. Reporting live outside Madison Square Garden, John Noel, News Channel 4.
John, thank you. With the convention just days away, the police and fire unions are trying to turn up the pressure on Mayor Bloomberg to settle their contract dispute. A group of off-duty police officers and firefighters protested outside the mayor's community meeting in Queens tonight, shadowing him as they've done for weeks now. Earlier today, the unions enlisted families of firefighters and police officers killed in the line of duty to plead their case.
Mr. Mayor, please give them the raises they desperately deserve.
I think anybody who gives 100% every day of their lives should at least have the dignity of a halfway decent paycheck.
Also, the unions are not ruling out protests during the convention. Mayor Bloomberg says the city cannot afford to give them the pay raises they want.
The guards were sadistic, the conditions chaotic, according to an independent panel that blames out-of-control guards for the abuses at Iraq's most notorious prison. But the commission says the scandal at Abu Ghraib reaches all the way to the top. Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld gets a milder rap, but the Army brass in Iraq and the prison all get harsh criticism for poor leadership and training. The commission chairman, former Defense Secretary James Schlesinger, says the guards ran amok.
There was sadism on the night shift at Abu Ghraib, sadism that was certainly not authorized. It was kind of Animal House. We believe that there is institutional and personal responsibility right up the chain of command.
The news from Washington was good for some of the 7 accused soldiers who have claimed they did not act alone. Army prosecutors say for the first time, officers may soon be charged.
Rand Beers, the national security advisor for Democratic presidential nominee John Kerry, says the White House still must explain the leadership failures cited in the Abu Ghraib report. Senator Kerry was in Manhattan today for a speech at Cooper Union, where President Lincoln delivered his famed anti-slavery speech. Kerry accused the Bush team of a campaign of fear and smear to avoid discussing jobs, health care, and the war in Iraq. Next week, the president begins an 8-state tour, arriving in Manhattan Wednesday, midway through the GOP National Convention.
Well, all eyes are on the Summer Games in Athens, but what about the city outside the Olympic gates? Jane Hansen is live with Olympic realities in 60 seconds. But just outside the Olympic venues, there is a real world. It's called the rest of Athens.
The city is a bustling metropolis. To the Greeks, that very word means mother city. Jane Hansen is live in Athens. Good morning, Jane.
And good morning to both of you. Well, day 11 of the Games is over once again without incident. What some people had worried might happen hasn't, and yet what is happening wasn't expected either.
It was a cooler day in Athens, although the wind did cause delays in the kayaking and canoeing. But for once, the brutal temperatures not affecting the games or the spectators. It has been the primary medical problem, American doctors on hand.
A lot of the heat-related problems, the heat stroke and things like that, tend to occur on the field of play. And those are the physicians that are actually at the venues take care of the spectators and the athletes there that actually suffer from those conditions.
Weightlifting. Ticket booths around town were crowded with lots of transactions. Today, Olympic organizers reporting they have reached their ticket goal of 3.4 million, although tickets for the closing ceremony are available. Security remains intense. Nowhere is it tighter than at the Athletes' Village. There are 20,000 Athens cops assigned to the Olympic venues. Crime all over the city is way down. Thefts are off by some 65%. Security officials tell us the new technology has also been very useful in battling crime.
They have numerous ways of first protecting the venue from people getting in and also watching it when you come in.
As for the traffic, Athens' famed congestion doesn't seem to exist. With the right credentials, you can sail along designated Olympic lanes. Problem is, there's been so much speeding that 27 people have died in auto accidents already this month, including 3 police officers.
If you don't see people coming, you start worrying.
Meantime, shopkeepers have given up their notions of an Olympic bonanza. The city not overrun with tourists, as had been hoped. Still, it does mean that there are much-needed civic improvements that will be here permanently. And the Olympics are good advertising.
We're happy just only of the thinking that the Olympics are back home. I mean, tears coming to my eyes, you know.
And the earth rocked literally here in Athens on Tuesday afternoon. A tremor magnitude 4.5 didn't do any damage, but we did learn that the International Olympic Committee took the unprecedented step of buying insurance in case the games had to be canceled because of either terrorism or natural disasters like earthquakes. It's a beautiful morning here, day 12 ahead, and of course we'll have a full report on that for you tomorrow. Back to you, Sue and Chuck.
Jane Hansen, thank you. Coming up, a place where you are as likely to find computer chips as potato chips.
That's right. Asa Aarons takes us inside a supermarket of the future. Next.
I'm Darlene Rodriguez.
I'm Rob Morrison. Wednesday on Today in New York, Team USA's quest for gold in Athens. Live reports and results.
Plus more of our back-to-school series, how to help your child transition from summer to the school year.
And Chris Amino's forecast, 5 to 7 a.m.
A controversial new technology could soon bring major changes to your local supermarket.
Consumer reporter Asa Aarons just returned from Germany to bring us a look at the supermarket of the future. Asa.
And that future is coming on very, very fast, thanks actually to this micro-thin chip that fits right on my fingertip.
Dünner und flexibler als andere Slip-Einlagen.
Where can you find a talking store shelf, visually projected product locators, an interactive store map right on your cell phone? Well, if you're thinking Silicon Valley or a New York tech center, you're wrong. Try the small town of Rheinberg, Germany. With the help of more than 40 companies, including IBM and Microsoft, Kraft, and Gillette, Europe's retailing giant Metro Group has turned this store into a doorway to the future.
It's the only store in the world at the moment which really has all those systems which are state-of-the-art of new technologies in retailing.
The Extra Future store is the paragon of consumer convenience, and some say consumer surveillance. Much of it is due to radio frequency identification, a tiny chip referred to as RFID. Here's basically how it works. You shop, you look for a product, take it off the shelf, and it senses your interest. A few seconds later, some information about the product comes up on the screen. You can make your decision to either put it back, or if you want to put it in your basket, it'll automatically be charged to your account. And all of this information is handled through a tiny little computer chip on back. Ultimately, the size and low cost of the chip could make it feasible to embed RFID in packages, clothing, car tires, practically anything you buy. An Orwellian nightmare or ultimate industry tool, depending on who you talk to.
What we believe in is what we call smarter retailing in general, and that's what we are working on.
A combination of the smart chip, digitally enhanced store shelves, and GPS-like antennas tracking your cart movements make grocery shopping easier, faster, and much more productive. For example, no more poorly stocked shelves with incorrect pricing. Instead, the smart shelves perform dynamic pricing.
We are using so-called electronic shelf labels in our store, for example, also for Miracle Whip. And for example...
Miracle Whip?
Yes.
Or how do you call it?
Miracle Whip. This is one of our electronic shelf labels. In total, we got 33,000 of these labels. The information comes wireless to each specific shelf label in the store.
That includes produce. With Veggie Vision, a digital camera registers the size, shape, color, and ultimately weight of your selection and adjusts the price accordingly. So whether you buy prepackaged or fresh, there will be no more waiting at the checkout while your cashier pages a stock worker to do a price check. Convenience not lost on shoppers here.
It's pretty quick. I'm working at the hospital over there and I have not very much time.
It's clean and it's easy and it's fantastic because it's the future.
Part of smart technology means helping you make smart buying decisions.
I think a really nice Chianti Classico would be great.
IBM's Elka Proust demonstrated how even a novice to the art of picking a dinner wine can program in the type of meal, let's say fish or beef, the wine quality, region, and desired price. Then this kiosk not only generates your best choices, but projects a product image that will guide you to the bottle's exact location on the shelf. Tomorrow, a look at the claims of people who say this technology is as frightening as it is fascinating. We'll have that report.
All right, Asa, thank you so much.
Thanks. Well, were you wondering who won the rubber ducky race in the East River today?
Janice is going to have that, plus the weather outlook next.
Well, if you're with us at 6, you know we had our own little Olympic event, the rubber ducky race in the river.
That was the $1 Million Duck Race benefiting the Special Olympics of New York. And we have a winner, Teresa McGowan of Manhattan. Her duck came in first. Let's take a look at the videotape. You see the 30,000 rubber ducks were dumped into the East River down at South Street Seaport earlier today. She won, Sue, thank you for asking. Teresa won all expense paid vacation package on American Airlines, I do believe, yes. And there were a lot of people, a lot of spectators out there, and we congratulate Special Olympics on a job well done. All the money raised goes to Special Olympics of New York, and everybody had a good time watching, and thanks to all the people who came out and donated to the cause, and to Teresa for winning. Now we'll check on the weather. And today was a great, fantastic day for outdoor plans. This evening is very nice and quiet, partly cloudy and 67 degrees. Winds are from the southeast are pretty light. Humidity 93%, pressure is steady, but high. It's at 30.27. Yesterday's high temperature was 77. We'll be about that later on this afternoon as well. A little bit cooler than average, but the temperatures will gradually warm as we go through the rest of this week. Very comfortable outside right now with most of the readings in the 60s. Back to the west, we see some 70s in Detroit and Pittsburgh, warm down in Washington, 74. Boston at 63 and Albany 55, so a little bit cool there. There's a strong high pressure system in place. A few clouds will roll over it, but it will keep the rain showers at bay all the way into the weekend. The jet stream shows that strong high. It's blocking all the rain clouds away from us, and the warm, humid weather won't appear until later in the week towards Friday and Saturday. There's your shorecast for tomorrow. A little onshore flow will keep temperatures a little bit cooler along the shore in the 70s during the afternoon. And if you're traveling out of town across the country, very hot in Phoenix, thunderstorms in Atlanta, Denver, temperatures 80s and 90s. Partly cloudy here tonight, 65, 67 tomorrow morning, partly sunny skies tomorrow afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds, and very comfortable with temperatures in the 70s, inland in the low 80s. Thursday, we're up to near 80, lots of sun for Friday, 82. Warm and humid Saturday, 85, just the way we like the weekend. Sunday is just a slight chance of an afternoon or evening thunderstorm. Great forecast for the next 5 days.
I say. All right, thank you, Janice. Coming up in Sports Day 11 in Athens, we have wrestling and beach volleyball.
But most of the talk is still about controversial gymnast Paul Hamm. Len Berman has the story.
Derek Jeter went to the hospital last night, but tonight he went yard. The Yankees battling the Indians. Deb Kaufman is next with sports.
NBC4's local telecast of the Olympic Games is brought to you by Samsung. Introducing the new Samsung A680 video phone. Chase, the most branches in New York City. Member FDIC. The new Chevrolets. 10 new cars and trucks in 20 months. An American revolution. Tomorrow, starting at 5.
Getting involved in your child's education. Experts say it makes more of a difference than you might expect.
Then at 6.
Stepping into this supermarket is like stepping into the future. I'll have a complete report.
Tomorrow, starting at 5.
Deb, Sports Athens.
Yes, Paul Hamm may have thought he'd be back in 4 years to defend his gold medal, but the American gymnast has been defending the gold and himself since he won. That plus the other big story from Athens. Here's Len Berman.
Good evening from Athens, where you always associate Olympic Games with big names. Of course, swimmer Michael Phelps, the biggest. But there were 2 other big names involved in stories today in 2 very different sports. On the one hand, there's Greco-Roman wrestling, which began today, and Rulon Gardner is at it again. Here in the red, he won all 3 of his matches today and advanced to the semifinals. 2 more wins, and he defends the shocking gold medal that he won in Sydney. On the other hand, there's gymnastics, and the controversy continues to swirl around the judging. Paul Hamm is at the center of it. First, his gold medal in the all-around. The judges miscalculated the South Korean score, incorrectly awarding the gold to Hamm. No change in that status. Then there was the bizarre incident last night involving a Russian gymnast. After the crowd booed, they changed the score. Hamm had to stand around and wait for 10 minutes before he went on to win silver. We caught up with him today.
The thing is that our sport is a subjective sport, and not everyone's going to agree with the outcome of the competition. And like the performance last night of Alexei Nemov on high bar, obviously the crowd felt that the score should have been higher, but the judges are the people who know the rules better than anyone, and they made the decision to put him in that placement. Judging, by its very nature, it's subjective, and these kinds of controversies will never go away. At the Olympics in Athens, Len Berman, News Channel 4.
Thank you, Len. And also from Athens, the finals of the women's beach volleyball. The best team in the world, Misty May and Carrie Walsh, blitzed the Brazilians 21-17 and 21-11 to capture the first American gold in women's beach volleyball. Almost as dominant as the women's softball team, May and Walsh didn't lose a set over their 7 matches.
We did it. I don't know what to say. I'm kind of like short of breath. I can't cry, nothing. I think I need to be pinched.
Now to the Yankees and vintage Derek Jeter. Clocked on the elbow by a pitch last night in Cleveland. X-rays were negative, and Derek told Joe Torre he wanted to play. So what does he do in his first at-bat? Jeter goes deep, a solo home run off Scott Ellerton, and the Yankees take an early 1-0 lead. He scored the 1,000th run of his career. Kenny Lofton is 1 hit shy of 2,000, but the Indians were not going to let him have it. Coco Crisp with an offensive play of the game to deny Lofton the milestone. But in the 9th, tied at 4, Jeter on 3rd after stealing 2 bases. Hideki Matsui comes through. That single is the go-ahead. So for an encore, Jeter scores the winning run, 5-4 the final. And Boston beat Toronto, so the lead stays at 6.5. Bad news on the Jason Giambi front, though. He is battling a respiratory infection. There's no timetable to even resume taking batting practice. Joe Torre says tonight the chances of his first baseman returning this year are remote. David Wells back in town, the former Yankee, with the Padres to take on the Mets at Shea, and Boomer kept the Mets in check all night long. Gerald Williams, one of 4 strikeouts for Wells, who took a shutout into the 9th. Ramon Hernandez gave Boomer all he needed, adding to a 1-0 lead with a solo shot off loser Chris Benson. 2-0 Pods, and Trevor Hoffman finished it off. He got Mike Cameron on 3 pitches. 3-1 the final, and those Mets are fading fast. Now to football. In less than 3 weeks after being released by the Cowboys, Quincy Carter has landed in New York with the Jets. Last year's starter in Dallas will get a chance to back up Chad Pennington, signing a 1-year deal. Although Bill Parcells never said it publicly, Carter reportedly failed a drug test before camp, but the Jets need a backup, and he's getting a second chance. And that's a look at sports.
All right, nice job. We'll be right back.